Welcome, welcome to the Practitioner Support Call. Grateful to have you with us today. And we have a special chat today from Jessica Loftus on enzymes. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over and mute myself, and we can just go with the flow. Thank you so much for being here and
Oh yeah,
doing this.
absolutely. Nerd time is my favorite time. So I'm super easy peasy. Whenever you want to jump in, Lord, please don't raise your hand. Just jump in there. We don't need to stand on airs. And I really think that it's probably best just to like take the temperature to say, do you guys know about enzymes? Do you know about Zen Cleanse? Have you tried them? So I can get a feel for whether or not we need to do like a primer, you know? Oh, cool. Camille's in the waiting room. All right. Now we're cooking. Oh, Teresa, you are so more than welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to nerd out with you guys. Okay, so does everybody know about Zen Cleanse? Everybody already partnered with Zen Cleanse? Have you tried enzyme cleansing? Where are we at? Joey, that's a really good question. Yeah. Can you guys nod if you've done enzyme cleansing? All right. We're waking up. So, well, oh, cool. Jennifer, you just finished the rainbow. I'd love to hear how that worked. Angie, that's awesome that you just scratched the surface. So somebody's never used the enzymes. Okay, so I'll give a little sound bite. We know from an RH perspective that isolated enzymes don't really work for the body. The body can't really recognize them. Is it a tool or a fulcrum that's going to be able to help you break down your food? Sure. Is it going to benefit you long term? Maybe not really, because it's not able to act more deeply. So, as Carrie has said in classes, I'm sure for you guys that are previous graduates, whereby I have only just joined you, she was on the fence about Zen Cleanse. And once she delved into understanding more that it's food based and it's super nerdy, fermented for an entire 3 years, and that it's simply bioavailable plant matter, she started to change her perspective on it and tried it out and realized that it was a viable option from the RH perspective. And actually, I just realized that I never actually said I was the Zen Cleanse international lead for the entire community for 2 years. And I separated myself from Zen Cleanse in order to go to IORH. So that's why I'm here with you guys today. So it was really, really cool to choose Carrie's program over a whole lot of others in order to incorporate a far larger regenerative health perspective. And I was thrilled that she actually utilized enzymes. And Carrie's name came to me because I was the lead of the support, and I thought, well, that's an unusual name in my forum today. And Camille and Sarah Donahoe. And I thought, I want to hang out with those girls. So that's how I came to be here with you guys. Okay, so back to enzymes. The reason that Zen Cleanse is completely bioavailable plant matter is that they go through a 4-stage fermentation process. We're all familiar with fermentation. You can do 1 and 2 stage fermentation, i.e., kimchi, pickled carrots that our ancestors used to keep us alive all year long, right? You can also do medium stage fermentations, your wines and your beers. And we know that that's how people end up creating a little bit of blood sugar imbalance. And that's why they call them spirits, right? They make us feel a little topsy-turvy. If you continue fermenting them for just a little bit longer, she said, like that's a few weeks, an entire 3 years is what that science shows, then it's going to become completely bioavailable plant matter. Why does that matter? It matters because it means that the body doesn't have to exert any energy in order to gain the complete nutrition that that plant matter has available to give you. That's profound. For this reason, when you utilize these enzymes, you're able to stay in a fasted state. Fancy word we know is called autophagy, different than autolysis. Autolysis is a different process of cell death. Autophagy, or autophagy, as I mispronounced it for years until someone corrected me. Learn as you go, right? So autophagy, autophagy, who cares how you pronounce these things? It means that your body is able to stay in a fasted state. And let's just circle back to what that means. It means that your body is still in self-cleaning mode. Anytime you introduce anything into your body that actually needs digested, as we know is true for raw juices and pretty much anything that we put in our mouths besides water, although Daniel would argue even that needs digested, the body can then gain nutrition. I like to call it an IV drip. The fermented enzymes are like being on an IV drip. Your body isn't utilizing any energy, I would argue even any angstroms. It's outputting zero electricity in order to gain that complete nutrition. And the reason that that's special is because the enzymes are then able to do their multifaceted work. Enzymes are profound because they are precursors to peptides, ATP. They're critical for being able to break down other things that you are digesting throughout your body. And because you're in that self-cleaning phase, you're able to go to work on those deeper subterranean levels of accumulation in your body. What does that mean? It's going to break down whatever you have that your body needs to dissolve first and foremost. For me, that may be different. For you, it may be different. But the body, no matter what, is going to donate that nutrition. It's going to donate that electricity. It's going to donate those precursors to proteins, to peptides. And you're going to get a personal housekeeper inside of your body. The way that Zen Cleanse enzymes work best is if you take them long term. Nobody wants to hear that. The way that Purium works best is if you take it for quite some time. And the reason for that is you are always going to have, this is the way I like to coach this. You have two levels of nutrients that your body is desperately missing, right? This applies to anything. The symptoms that you are experiencing is based on a deficiency. Agreed? And a deficiency creates accumulation in the body. That's just the way the world works because you didn't have enough juju in your bank account to actually be able to start ticking away at these things. So when you are nutrient deficient, which darn near everybody on planet Earth is, and you start taking something like Purium or an enzyme, it's going to fill up this bank account first. And then it's actually going to be able to start ticking away at the accumulation because your body finally has enough juju, enough enzymes, enough proteins, ATP, angstroms, all the things in order to start lowering these things. That is where your health skyrockets. It doesn't really do that until you get to a state of repletion. And that applies to everything. I don't care if it's Lumivitae water, enzymes, amino acids, or in this case, enzymes. Where enzymes differ than other nutrients, zeolites, even Lumivitae, although I love it, is that enzymes have a very multifaceted action because they're solvents. So as soon as you get to a level of repletion, all along, the body has also been able to donate just a little bit of that behavior, that action, in order to start breaking away at accumulation. Can that be done in a couple of days with an enzyme cleanse? No, that's not really realistic, but it does mean there's a street cleaner outside. Is that disruptive? I think he's coming closer. Please pardon me. So the reason that the enzyme cleanses are very special is that it deviates from older cleanses like Dr. Christopher, Dr. Jensen, Dr. Schultz, because even though these are pioneers of the industry, those took a really long time. If you do enzyme cleanses, then you're giving your customer this really wowy experience whereby the enzymes were able to dissolve a certain level of accumulation throughout their body. So they get that visual representation that's really gratifying. They poop out a bunch of plaque, they get out a bunch of stones. They're very satisfied. The second part of the enzyme paradigm, though, is these longer term or even semi-permanent long-term enzyme use. That's going to look like the liquid enzymes or the tablets, and the longer that you take them, the more that you are going to get down to those deeper and deeper subterranean levels of accumulation in your body. That can be fibroids, it can be PCOS, it could be arterial sclerosis. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It can be brain plaque. It can be anything specifically, or fatty liver, that your body in specificity is dealing with. So the Zen cleanse paradigm exists in two functions: the cleanses and these longer term enzymes. Any of the elixirs, the liquids, are incredible for your clients to actually be able to take on a longer term basis. What do I mean by that? They could take, let's say, a regular wine size bottle, which is 750 milliliters via the metric system. Jess, can we turn that sound off? Is that possible? I mean, it's not a super deal breaker, but super curious. It's very naggy. So, so when you take a regular wine size bottle and you're going to take 1 ounce of that liquid elixir and you're just drinking it in a warm cup of water in order to increase its surface area and disperse it through the stomach lining and into the blood system, which is mission critical so that you gain that nutrition really quickly. And it's acting as blood dialysis and cleansing your entire body. If you do that, those 750 milliliter bottles allot for a dose a day over a month, sometimes 2 doses a day, I think, if you work it right. You're getting a solvent protocol behavior that's going to continue to eat away at the accumulation in your body. Whatever your client is challenged with, for my husband, it was fatty liver because that runs in his family. For me, it was nervous system dysregulation because thanks perimenopause, we all really appreciate that. And so different blends are going to work for different things. I took the Chi blend when I face planted. I thought that I was able to just continue working full speed ahead as many as of us ladies have realized, and then we realized we actually need to take all of us with us, right? So that Chi blend of taking that once or twice a day for 4 months absolutely completely repleted my nervous system. It was a powerful adaptogen that was able to actually then balance my hormones for where I was. So that was 4 months. Josh took the Hygieia blend. I've said this in a couple of enzyme chats already. I like using him as my guinea pig. He took the Hygieia blend 1 or 2 doses per day for over a year, but I like to really use this year constrainment to prove this point. He lost 40 pounds. He didn't change anything else. And he started laughing again. I wondered where his laughter had gone. Well, it was stuck in generational anger inside of his liver. This is before any of us knew that deliverance existed. So even just that was able to set him free. If you have a client who's struggling with metabolism and blood sugar regulation, if they were to gear toward that light seed blend, they could even take that for 2 to 3 months, treating that as their primary food-based supplement, replete their ATP, their metabolism, and not really take a hit via blood sugar because the enzymes can be a little sweet for some people while they're working on blood sugar regulation, which we all know is liver and adrenal, right? Each of the blends can not only behave as a multivitamin, most especially ambrosia because it has the most ingredients of the entire Zen cleanse paradigm. Your clients and your family, really, especially your children, could take 1 dose of enzymes per day and see a multifaceted benefit in their body because of our 2 bank accounts that need repleted. They're getting a ton of nutrition, like an IV drip, and they're also starting to eat away at the accumulation in their body that's holding their health and expansion back. A note about children: the dose for children is 1 milliliter per kilogram of body weight. So if you have a child, very picky eater, they're not able to get enough nutrition in their body, which I think is more common than not, you could give them a yummy cup of tea once a day. And because they're such teeny tots, that 750 milliliter bottle is going to last you a lot longer. It's a brilliant way to get them on a protocol. They don't even know they're on a cleanse. They don't even know that they're on an IV drip of nutrition. It's genius. One bottle, after you open it, they don't go bad. They just stop their robust fermentation process. They are as good as they were when you bought them for 30 days after opening. If you want to really stop the fermentation process, you just stick them in the fridge. If you think you're going to take it within 30 days, you can actually leave it on the counter, which I prefer to do. I like it that it's just room temperature. I just put it in a warm cup of water. We want to do warm. We don't want to do hot so that it's not killing the enzymes because they're so precious. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. So it's 8 ounces via our American system, 250 milliliters in the metric system. How's all this landing so far? Any feedback? Any questions on anything that we've talked about so far?
I have a question.
Please.
Okay, so if you with kids,
Mhm.
if they are not warm beverage drinkers, will they still benefit if you put it, say, in like juice to start with and kind of start working on their palate as they're going and sort of repleting different nutrients? Or is it sort of a waste if you're just plopping it in a cold cup of juice and having at it?
I know, right? My answer is a little bit subjective, and I love these questions because I'm a super stickler for laying out that most of the things that we like to estimate can't be corroborated. We can't prove it. So we're just shooting in the wind, and that's what we're going to do with this answer. What I can tell you definitively is that enzymes break down anything that they're put next to, which means that when we take the fully fermented enzymes next to any food, in this case juice, it's going to also help break down the juice. Maybe that's not bad. But to the degree, do I really think that it's going to be completely lost? No. I don't give polarizing answers. It's actually part of the reason that I stopped being the lead of the community because I can't tell people, no, this is going to do this and this is going to do this and this. This is food. If you place it next to something because it's a solvent, it's going to help it break down. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's okay in order to be able to get you to where you need to be. I support that. Would I make the juice really thin? I would. I wouldn't make the juice or I wouldn't do it near a smoothie, that's for certain. But will I tell you that when I had a robust amount of enzymes in the house that I did put a splash in my smoothie every day? I did. I did. Because, you have money to burn, you have product to burn, but if it's really precious to you, we do want to do it in water and on a relatively empty stomach. But the ROI, that's the phrase I wanted. The return on investment is going to be subjective based on how empty your stomach is and what you put it next to. If we could do lukewarm water, we're winning. You don't necessarily have to do like super warm water or hot water. So let's kind of feel that out and see what we can get them to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, like my kids all drink room temperature water,
We're
so
winning.
like that's probably doable.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just know like in the realm of kids, some of the biggest issues I know people have is like they're picky because they're nutrient deficient, because their palate sucks. And so like just trying to get them to like my daughter I know will say, I'm not a trier. You put something new in front of her and Mom, I'm not a trier. So
Right.
like
Best phrase.
even trying is like you have to trick them into it. So
That
just in the
even
realm of like getting certain kids to like, okay, we're gonna put it in there and just see what their reaction is in something they like before the first time you put it. Because I know some kids too, on that first try, if it's miserable, they will catch it in everything. They'll catch that little hint that you
Hmm.
put in the plain water,
Mhm.
and then you try to hide it later and you can't hide it. They know it's there. It's the weirdest phenomenon in kids. But
Wow.
I've seen it now enough times that I'm like, I think there's a little something to it.
Well, they're
Um,
more sensory than we are, right? because
Right.
we become dumbed down or let's say acclimated, right? We're more dormant. And so, yeah, well, my husband can sense mayo in anything, even when people lie to him. So,
Yeah.
everybody's got their thing, and that's his kryptonite. So, to your point about taste, the ambrosia, Daniel is very fond of reiterating, is the best one that's geared toward children. It has the most buttery flavor. That descriptive word came back to me through my husband recently. He's, you ever been married to a Taurus? That buttery, they want that really full flavor. And so ambrosia has that, and most likely because it has the least amount of like a vinegar or a balsamic undertone to it. So I think that that's a really reasonable thing to try and give them while we're dragging them into our realm of detoxification unknowingly. I really like the idea of utilizing this for cleansing for children. I think that this and zeolites is the easiest way to help children detoxify and heal. I really do because it has such a multifaceted action. Like you said, their palates suck because they're nutrient deficient. And so this, if we can figure out how to get this into their bodies, we're winning for a whole lot of reasons. Sandra, jump in here, please, ma'am.
Good morning. I was like 4 minutes late into the call. Did you say address anything about what maybe you recommend for us to do before starting? Is there any kind of prep work that I might have missed?
No, and yes. So, me and my penchant for no polarized answers. If somebody's on a sad diet, I would love for them to begin de-escalating their inflammation before they do enzymes or enzyme cleansing. But the world is their oyster, and they may just not get the results that they're really looking for, and then be very frustrated. And therefore, just like with Purium, they're going to project an estimation onto it that is not true or fair. Because the enzymes are going to help digest whatever is in your gut. If someone has a lot of undigested food in their gut, then that's what the enzymes are going to go to work on. And so therefore they won't necessarily see the trash taken to the curb. So what does de-escalation look like? It's different if someone, again, is on a sad diet. If they're a heavy meat eater, I would love for them to be vegetarian for a week before going on an enzyme cleanse so that all of those denser foods had an opportunity to be broken down and we're not wasting money on breaking those down. If someone is already on a plant-focused diet, you're good to go. I do suggest that if people can get down to just superfoods for the day before, amazing. I've done it many ways. I've done a 4 month juice fast. I have done no juice fasts. I think that when people juice fast in advance of an enzyme cleanse, they tend to have a harder response via the emotionality of it. I've already been fasting for this long. I can't fast any longer. I'm hungry. I want to eat. And they very reasonably created that situation because they began not eating and fasting too far in advance of the enzymes. It's primarily psychosomatic, yeah? We understand. I readily go on enzyme fasts for several weeks at a time and don't eat. But for people who aren't used to that paradigm, they can really start to respond and with a level of reactivity and break their cleanse with eating. So if you have them just go down to superfoods for 1 day in advance, they're already starting to acclimate, but they're already really full of nutrition. They tend to soar through it. I do want to say, little side note, I think that the perfect aminos are a complete game changer. I didn't know about them a few years ago. Amazing. The fact that you can ingest pre-digested protein the morning before each cleanse and then an hour later start your enzymes, that also is going to help people not only feel full, but not have a psycho-emotional hunger response and gamble with messing their cleanse up. I needed juice, I needed superfoods, I needed food. These things are very common. So these are ways that you can help people reasonably de-escalate so that you are preventing them from having an emotional response and gambling with their cleanse's efficacy. Did that make sense, Sandra? Yeah? Cool. Go for it, Teresa. Chime in.
Hey, Jessica, thank you for doing this. This is amazing. I missed the part where you said after 30 days. So the bottle says 30 days.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
happens after 30 days? Is it still good? How long is it good for? When should we throw it out?
Never.
Okay.
Never. The cool thing about something being fermented, completely fully fermented, is it doesn't actually go bad. It only uses some of its robustness. So even though Zen Cleanse is what we might consider a significant price point, right, at $110 to $140 per bottle, pretty cool to know that it's not going to go bad. That's a huge selling point, right? If somebody goes on vacation or they don't get to it in time, it's fine. But I can tell you that it's an arbitrary amount of how much power it loses, because if I were to tell you XYZ, I'm just estimating something that's super ambiguous. I would say, let's say if it's been in the fridge for 2 full months, let's pretend, let's say it's maybe lost 10% of its power. I have a bottle in the fridge that's been 4 months now. I can't even tell you why. I think we just keep forgetting to take it. So when I take it, the taste is still there, but I can't tell you whether or not I think it's actually lost significant power. Is it best to take them in 30 days? Sure, but sometimes lifes.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah, that's really helpful. I think I've wasted a few dollars. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes, ma'am. Me too. Me too. Lives. Go ahead, Joey, chime in.
Jessica, thank you for this call because I love it. It was more of a do as you learn thing for me. And I'm still not fully clear. I've had a lot of plants on the Rainbow Cleanse and I think it's called the Flow, which I love.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of opposite of you. I'm a textbook type of person where it's like everything is kind of set up. I just wanted to confirm, and that's the other thing. I like to confirm and speak it to make it stick to my in my head and just understand it. I've been personally and all my clients after, doing a month of ULT, I would actually start people juicing in superfoods like 10 days before, for instance, the Rainbow Cleanse.
Amazing.
And then
Okay.
and then 3 days before the Rainbow Cleanse juicing, and that's it. Because I don't know where I got that information from. But you're saying it is okay to do superfoods up to the cleanse, and it won't, I guess, get in the way of the enzymes eating at the mucoid plaque.
Certainly.
And I want to confirm if I heard you right about the super aminos. So we can do super aminos even on day one or one cleanse and
Wait, wait an hour.
wait an hour
I,
before.
I tested all of this recently
Uh-huh.
before I confirmed that yes, I absolutely got amazing. I hacked the Forgive Cleanse so much so recently with the IORH protocols that I am never going back. Like just the way that we have these ways of shimming the process. Yes, absolutely. You can take those perfect aminos an hour before. I read a coach way before IORH. I thought he was crazy. I read him in the support forum. Ken Newbill, great guy, say that he coaches his clients on taking pre-digested amino acids the day of the cleanse, and I clutched my pearls. I was like, how can he say that? That you're ruining the purity of the process. He was right. He was right. And if we can use these hacks and these tweaks to be able to support people to get more out of their process, I'm all about that. And if like because they're pre-digested, we could even put them kind of in the realm of that would play very nicely with pre-digested enzymes, right? The body isn't outputting any energy in order to be able to gain that nutrition. And so when we then look at, because these are tiers, right? The superfoods from Purium are broken down. They don't take a lot of digestive output. So how long is the body no longer in a digestive state when it takes superfoods. An hour, right? It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. It's nothing with the perfect aminos. So their body is no longer digesting anything by the morning of the cleanse. And I do want to circle back and say, you are right. The more someone puts into a cleanse, the more they're going to get out. But we have to meet people where they are, right? So if somebody juice fasts, so when I did a 4-month juice fast, I didn't do it because I had nothing better to do. I saved my life, right? Nobody goes on a 4-month juice fast because it just sounds like a good time. They just don't. During that 4-month juice fast, I didn't have any of these hacks. This was 15 years ago right now. And there was a lot of old school intestinal cleansing, liver cleansing, kidney cleanses, and hot cold sheet treatments, which I do not suggest unless you're super into taking cayenne baths. Not a super fun time. But these are the things that you used to have to do in order to be able to produce this sort of result. Did I get out what almost felt like my body weight in visible accumulation? I sure did. You can get out a whole lot more out of your process if you're willing to juice fast. But not very many people are willing to do that for X amount of days in advance. So you might be able to sweeten the pot by saying to them, you can go ahead and keep your purium and your superfoods, and you can take your aminos the day of. And the most recent things that I added to my cleanse, including on enzyme cleansing days, was ASEA, hydrogen water, and patches. Well, and the perfect aminos. Absolute game changer. Jump in, jump in.
So then, because I know the day of the one cleanse, you're not supposed to eat anything else. And the next day too, until you release, you're not supposed to eat.
Correct.
So could you still juice then and or shakes like the next day or no? Or do you want to wait till you release?
You do. You
Okay.
do. So to the degree that somebody is going to get into digestion mode is very much based on their individual physiology. We have science that says that when somebody ingests nutrients, the body is going to move from a parasympathetic state and it's going to digest this. But the degree to which they're going to do that, we are going to presume. We have no foreseeable data on this because we can't get inside the human body in order to actuate what I'm about to say. We're going to assume that it's nominal for juice. We're going to assume that it's a little bit more for superfoods. And then if you're actually eating full food, you gambled. You completely tumped your cleanse and you spent a whole lot of money. That's fine if somebody chooses to do that. But I've rarely seen people get out mucoid plaque after they had a smoothie. So if you want to start ingesting nutrients, not pre-digested nutrients, I really do not think that the aminos count because they are pre-digested. You could start having light juices. We want to strain the fiber because fiber is akin to that food. It's further down here because your body is going to have to emit insulin in order to be able to start breaking those things down. So this is like a tertiary layer of digestion way down here. So if somebody absolutely needs to have a juice that following afternoon, no worries, strain it, make it super, super thin. The even better version would be really thin vegetable broth. Depending on the sort of psychology, because it really is psycho-emotional that your client has. Let's say, because you've heard me say that I think it's best to do the intestinal cleanse over 2 days. I'm very, very fond of that. I say that because most people who have digestive issues are dealing with a level of sustained intestinal inflammation, right? If they didn't have a level of sustained intestinal inflammation, then their nerve innervation would be able to move all of the accumulated poop along, and they wouldn't have as many digestive issues. When you take the intestinal cleanse, and this is, that's okay. Daniel really disagrees with me on this, but I coach thousands of people through the forum. He thinks that most people should be able to do it in 1 day. He's not wrong. I believe firmly that this is mainly a Western problem, and most of the people that I was coaching were via America. And so I think what I saw after coaching thousands of people in 2 years, I think it's mainly a glyphosate issue. I think that the intestinal inflammation is really interdependent on what we have going on versus Asia. I think that most people in that Eastern Hemisphere, because they don't have the level of pesticides and specifically glyphosate that's causing concurrent intestinal inflammation, they can totally do the intestinal cleanse in one day with no worries. Great for them. If you have somebody who you're coaching that has intestinal inflammation, breaking it over 2 days is awesome. Why? Because you're taking a huge amount of fiber into a system that's already inflamed. And then if somebody applies a level of nervousness, nervous system tension, which they already have, because if they didn't have a level of nervousness, they wouldn't have digestive issues, then you're effectively trying to put them into a situation and say, now deal with it. Show off. Do a whole bunch of actions in your life that you've never been able to do before. And I think that's a gamble. So what I'd rather do is you have 10 packets in the intestinal cleanse. All you have to do, it's actually far simpler than it sounds. You just take 5 of those packets the first day and 5 of those packets the second day, and all you're doing is spacing apart the windows of it. I have seen people with intestinal inflammation and nervous system issues come out 5 stars at the end of an intestinal cleanse. My primary concern for most people who do intestinal cleansing that have nervous system issues is that they tend to apply a certain level of anxiety on day 2 because they can't eat yet. Therefore, their body is going into a sympathetic state. Therefore, their nerve innervation slows down. Therefore, their peristalsis slows down. You see the cascade that I'm describing to you physiologically? That absolutely means that now they're in a state where they're going to apply more anxiety to whether or not they get plaque out because they spent $250 on a cleanse. So the more that we can shim this process and meet them where they are, make it sustainable, calm their nervous systems down, whether or not it's because we gave them pre-digested protein the morning before and that next morning before, then I think we're winning. I think we're lowering the amount of potentiality for them to sabotage their own process. Yeah? Does that all sound reasonable? Yeah, cool, Sandra. Yes, ma'am. Brina, please go ahead.
Hello. I have a question for you. So I broke up my rainbow cleanse and I just did the intestinal cleanse and now I have the liver cleanse left.
Cool.
What's the best way for me to do just that piece alone by itself? Should I just follow the instructions and do I need to fast before, like eat superfoods the day before would be better, or is that different because it's not intestinal?
Mm. So when you're doing a liver cleanse, it's kind of the same rules. Like you could go ahead and do just the superfoods the day before. It depends on your physiology. If you, let's say you do it on a Saturday, because I'm going to presume that you don't work on a Saturday, whatever day it is that you're not going to work, really want to be home for that day of the liver cleanse because you're going to the
Okay.
potty a whole lot while your bile ducts are dilating, and that means that you're going to be flushing a lot of bile, and so it's going to feel like you have diarrhea all day long for that day.
Okay.
Super critical. We always want to coach our clients that you can do a whole lot of cleanses while you're working. We would prefer that on that day you're home just in order to acclimate to the process and understand what's going to happen. So let's say on a Thursday, you wanted to do superfoods all day. If you want to do all juice on Friday, wow, you get out what you put in. That's going to be incredible. If you find that you have a lot of soccer games to go to and you're going to be very busy, then you can totally do the superfoods on the day before. And it's going to be reflective of how clean and how inflamed your body is in general. I think that
Okay.
you could totally just do the superfoods before because they're not taking a whole lot of digestive power. As far as the best way to do the liver cleanse, I really think that doing it on a Saturday is best. You're taking your flush drink on a Saturday, and by Sunday noon is when you're going to see the fruits of your labor, right?
Okay.
If you elongate, I'm all about hacking protocols. If you elongate, that cleanse and you do a second day of liver flushing on Sunday, you're going to get a whole lot more of it out. And that would mean taking off work on Monday. You can look in the Telegram forum and the Facebook Zen Cleanse forum for instructions on how to elongate your cleanse. It's extremely easy to do. It sounds really complex. All you're doing is putting a bile duct dilation packet aside for the following day, and you're just going to do 2 days of liver flushing, and that's going to get you a whole lot more out of your $250 and what Daniel calls an extra push to your liver.
Okay. And so one thought I had is the drink. Does it make you nauseous? Like, am I going to be able to keep it down?
So that's subjective on basically
Okay, because I feel like I might have a problem keeping it down.
you may. Okay, so I have done I don't know, probably 50 liver flushes, not as many as some of my peers. I have some peers that have done, I mean, we are few and far between, but I have some peers that have done upwards of 200 flushes. The one that I did 3 weeks ago was the first time I ever got nauseous.
Okay.
It was also the best liver flush I ever had. And that was reflective of how deep I was able to go in my liver. Outside of that, it's going to be psycho-emotional. And there are a lot of ways that you can deal with that. You're going to do a lot of self-talk. I'm real fond of ginger tincture, a couple of drops of ginger tincture or liver bitters on your tongue. I do it every single time. I am not a
Okay.
purist. I am going to take liver tincture drops to my tongue before I lay down in order to calm my tummy.
Okay. That's good advice. Thank you. I like that. Yeah, that was the one
Yeah.
thing after I read it and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to drink all that stuff and have it come right back up, and then I feel like it would be a waste.
It's a super bummer. I've coached a couple of friends. I've only had two people toss their cookies, and they did not have a
Okay.
good time. They did not have a good time. But Daniel is really full of quips. I love that he says this. In order to make an omelet, sometimes you have to break a few eggs. If you throw up, it's completely okay. Here's what we know or we think scientifically. You keep that down for 20 minutes, I'm proud of you. Your liver has finished dumping. If you can keep it down for 45 minutes, I'm even prouder of you because you're going to stay for that 45 minutes on your right side and you're going to talk yourself out of wanting to have an expulsive experience. And if you can keep that down for 20 to 45 minutes, you're good.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always. Angie, jump in there.
So when we're talking about the liver cleanse, um, is there anything that you feel like people need to do differently if they do not have a gallbladder?
No,
No, they're fine. Just
no.
go at it.
I love that you asked this question. You never remember what you want to talk about until somebody asks it, right? It's such a great question because the issue was always in the liver. And I think if we started calling them liver stones, it would be far more educational. There's really no such thing as gallstones. Gall means bile in Latin. All stones start in the liver, and we can debate on what they're made of, right? Carrie says that it's accumulation that's wrapped around parasites. She may very well be true. I'd love to test it. I loved that theory. But the accumulation and the congestion was always in the liver. The impeded bile flow was always the problem. The gallbladder ends up being the scapegoat. So when you have your gallbladder removed, let's grab a marker so that it's far easier to see. Here's your liver. This is why I spent a whole lot of money on an art degree. And here's your gallbladder. And this is your common bile duct. But this is super offensive. You have 12,000 miles of bile ducts. You guys believe that? How is that possible? How in the world did God design us to have 12,000 miles of bile? I don't even know how that's possible. So like a brain, you have all of these different tiny little rivulets inside of your liver. That's 12,000. That is literally insanity. And this relatively large tubule that you have here is called your common bile duct, and that dumps into your gallbladder. Once your gallbladder is congested and toxic enough, they say you got to have it out. We can debate on whether or not that's true. You take it out, that tube is still there, praise God, and it's just going to dump directly into your duodenum because it doesn't have a pass through there anymore. So when you take a liver flush, which people who don't have a gallbladder actually need it 10 times more than all of the rest of us, right? Because they don't have that extra monthly storage unit over here. They have no storage unit anymore. So then all of that bile and all of the debris that comes with it is just going to filter via that common bile duct into your duodenum and then therefore out into your intestines. Does it sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any reason that maybe a breastfeeding mom should not do a liver flush? Yeah.
Same as with all cleansing. So they are going to be dumping a sufficient amount of toxicity into their system. So all we say is pump and dump.
Okay, so how many days do you feel like they would have to do that? Just the day of the cleanse, or would you suggest a couple of days following?
I think just, wow, what a great question. So when we wrote the FAQs, we said just the day of, but if I were going to be really gingerly about the process, I might do the day after.
Okay.
It's an incredible question because I risk it. Let's go ahead and do the day after. And if one were really concerned, say if they were really toxic, I might actually incorporate binders the day after in order to hurry that process along.
The clock. This one.
How's that sound,
Yeah.
Dan? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like one of the toughest things with like detoxing and cleansing is where all the things that we do fall in the realm of pregnant moms and mostly breastfeeding moms because it's so becoming the norm to breastfeed long term. Well, then you have these women that like they're pregnant for 9 months, then they breastfeed for 2 years, then boom, they get pregnant again.
Yeah.
And like so I have a client who has either been pregnant or breastfeeding for 10 years.
God bless her.
And she's just like, she has no gallbladder. She has a history of like alcohol addiction. So like I know that her liver needs a lot and she's improved a lot being highly plant-based, highly raw and taking her time to really come into this and using some of our different biohacks. But there's so many things that like, gosh, she's just ready for, but she's like, but I'm just like, I'm not comfortable telling you to do this because I just don't know. So she keeps asking me like, well, what can I do if, and then just, how can I,
Yeah, I'll help
so
you.
yeah.
Absolutely. Reach out to me when, even when it's happening, like if we gotta, we're all walking through it together, right? In order to like save the world. So yeah, so reach out to me and let's help her through that. So I love where you're going with it. I think that the day after is absolutely genius, especially for someone with that profile. She could really benefit from the enzymes in general. There's no reason, like if you were to incorporate nursing and pregnant moms do extremely well with the enzymes because they have been spending that bank account of nutrition on two people. They are extremely deficient. So the more that they're actually able to replete their body via nutrients that they did not have to work to gain, they're winning. So I would have that person on a if I could, if they could do it financially, I would have them on 2 liquid doses of enzymes per day. In perpetuity.
Anyone in particular?
I would certainly do chi because someone who's been pregnant and nursing for a really long time, you can't tell me that she doesn't need some adaptogenic support. And I would probably have the other one be ambrosia because it has the most ingredients and via TCM, it's said to nurture what's called the 8 systems. So it's just a panacea of nutrients. It's like our version of a Flintstones vitamin.
Yeah, I was just so excited for this call because the whole all the liquid enzymes I've just kind of been like, I'll get to that eventually. I don't have a clue what each of them do or what they're all for.
They are
I have 4 different bottles in my closet. And I'm like, I should
and
be
I'm
taking.
happy to, we don't have to stop at 12:30. I would rather get through all of your questions and I'm good to go. I don't have a call for another hour. So ask all the questions. I think that the liquid enzymes are far more important than enzyme cleansing. There, I said it.
I actually love that because I feel like anytime I have thought about like the rainbow or the one or the liver, they're so big, they're so reactive. And some people that are like minor detoxing, they're like, oh my gosh, I might be dying. And so then to have like these, oh,
But
so
they're
like,
so they are detoxifying. I love that you said that. They are detoxifying the whole time that they're taking enzymes.
yeah,
And so just like we've seen with Purium or hydrogen water, the better someone feels, the more they're able to take on. Fair?
fair. Yep.
They do enzymes, liquid enzymes, just as a normal food-based routine, and that includes children. And I just kind of want to like highlight that Camille totally said my son likes them a lot, Angie, and he's picky. Bam. The more that a child can be doing, or an adult, more sneaky clandestine cleansing, because it just tastes like a warm, yummy tea, the more that they're going to be able to take on that next step because they're going to be more nourished. And we could even say because they feel more satiated, they're going to be even better acclimated to feel satiated when it's all they're having because they're on a rainbow cleanse. A quick note about the rainbow cleanse, just because it comes in all one kit does not mean you have to do it all together. It's 2 cleanses together with a week's worth of what's called maintenance enzymes or digestive enzymes. That doesn't mean that you have to do it all in 7 days. Feel it out. And sometimes when people, I have clients or even friends that I coach, they're like, I'm planning to do this and then I need this day and then I'm going to power right into the liver cleanse. And I will continue to say, we'll see how it goes. And it almost irritates them like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm like, let's see how it goes. We don't have to do anything that our body is not signing on to do. So you get somebody through the intestinal cleanse. I would prefer that you had 1 full day, write that down, please, before you do the liver cleanse. And as Daniel likes to say, let one process finish before starting another. That's fair. Again, let your body come with you. So if you do the intestinal cleanse, let's say you do it in 1 day. You take the entire one cleanse in 1 day. Day 2 is what's called your release day. You're getting a whole lot of fun stuff out. Day 3, you start your liver cleanse. That's great. I have people they were able to take off 3.5 days of work and they're like, what can we do? You can do a rainbow. You can do a rainbow. Are you going to get more of it out if you do it over 7 days? Sure. But you got to meet people where they are and take them with you. So if you do the intestinal cleanse over 2 days, day 1, take first half of the intestinal packets, easy peasy. Better if they have supplemental additional enzymes in the house so that they don't feel hungry. Always a
Okay.
great idea to buy an additional bottle of enzymes so that if somebody's feeling hungry, they supplement that additional nutrition. Fair? Makes sense to everybody?
Yeah.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
Take a dose. There's no shame in the game. That also gives them a feeling of like satiety. It's really yummy, and then their psycho-emotionality lowers, and they're able to keep plowing away. Intestinal cleanse day 1, taking half of the kit. Intestinal cleanse day 2, taking the second half of the kit. Day 3 is the finish of your release day. That would mean day 4 minimum is when you're starting that liver cleanse. Does that track for everybody? Makes sense? So if you're going to do the rainbow the way that it's designed, you're doing the intestinal at the first start of the week, you're having several days in between, and then you're taking the liver cleanse at the end of the week. Does this track with everybody? Because I'm going to actually throw you a wild card. Now I'm really going to mess up your minds. If somebody has a sustained level of inflammation, and we know that the liver is the primary issue, you can reverse it. It's what we started calling the reverse rainbow. There you go, Joey. You got it already. There's no reason that they can't start the liver cleanse. Take a day break, start the intestinal cleanse. No shame in the game, right? These are just foods. Daniel was very fond of saying these are just foods. Take the scare, take the pressure off. Teresa, jump in there. I'm sorry, Angie. Did I just wait? Angie, ask what
Yeah.
you were going to ask. I could tell by the look on your face before we move on.
Sorry. I
Not at
just
all.
so I just want to kind of because I haven't really looked at all of the different, maintenance enzymes. So basically what you're saying is for someone that's on, a SAD diet,
Mhm.
and the whole idea of everything we do in regenerative health, where like you've said it a couple times, the more you put in, the more you get out. If you know that these particular clients are going to be the type that are like, no, I can do it, but deep down, like this is not going to go well, you would maybe say a better bang for your buck on an enzyme journey versus saying get the rainbow is to say, let's start with some enzymes. Let's do a month or two of just enzymes to really get in some nutrients, get them used to like, hey, that warm drink is great. And then after they've sort of managed a little bit of that,
Yep.
then maybe they're ready for
Genius.
versus like, oh, well, we're just gonna go ahead and do a
Yes.
one cleanse and blow
That
their mind.
is that's when you're thinking advanced alchemy. That's the genius round. That's the way to go. I love that you said maintenance enzymes. So again, we have 3 different paradigms within the Zen cleanse. We have really cool enzyme kits, right? Enzyme cleansing kits. We have the liquid elixirs that we talked about. And then we have, to your point, the maintenance enzymes or digestive enzymes. Those are threefold. We have fiber crystals, black vacuum, quantum particles. All 3 of those are going to help regulate someone's peristalsis. Black vacuum is going to help start to regulate bile flow and alkalize the intestines. That's pretty great. Fiber crystals is going to augment a certain amount of fiber in someone's diet who isn't getting any because they eat the SAD diet. And the quantum particles is a digestive enzyme that's going to help break food down. The superpower version of the quantum particles is that because they are so high in bromelain, if you take them on an empty stomach, they are an anti-inflammatory. It's an ibuprofen. And the reason that that's important is most especially for children. They taste like sweet tarts. They don't want to take enzymes. They don't want to take liquid enzymes. They don't want to taste anything that tastes like medicine. Quantum particles are going to be your jam. I think they're 150 bucks for a big bag, might be a little cheaper than that. And even though that sounds expensive, I know moms who keep them in their purse. Whiny kid in the back, I want a treat. Here's a quantum particles. That's a genius way to start getting enzymes into their body. So let's say you have someone with a SAD diet and we know that they have inflammation issues. We can go ahead and get them on those tablets and the powder. The quantum particles is a powder. Black vacuum is a tablet, and fiber crystals are a tablet. Work it out, Jess. So if they actually start incorporating those into their body, it's just like taking a supplement. They don't taste it. Who cares? They're starting to regulate their inflammation response and their peristalsis. They're going to be getting a whole lot better, a whole lot quicker, and able to take on more. Does that sound fair, Angie?
Yeah, no, we actually call the quantum particles pixie sticks.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. My husband calls them quantum particulates, which I think is absolutely hysterical. Are you
Yeah, no,
good?
yes, I love this because I feel like I have not known how to use all of the avenues of Zen cleanse for a year now. And I'm just like,
And it
one day
gets
I'm gonna learn it, and I just
even,
haven't. And so I love this. I love this.
I think that's why I'm passionate about giving these talks for you guys because there is so much that is possible with this paradigm that you just can't understand, in my opinion, unless you were steeped in that community for 2 entire years, answering thousands of questions. Yeah, and that's how I learned like all of this alchemy. Teresa, please jump in here, ma'am.
This is amazing. Thank you. So I have 3 questions. I think they might be somewhat quick. When you said if someone's like, let's say somebody's just doing the one, what extra bottle of liquid enzymes would you have them purchase? What would be your recommendation?
That's a really fun question. Everybody got a pen? We're just going to do a couple of quick mentions. Ambrosia, most robust nutrient profile. It's our version of a Flintstone vitamin. Chi, people with nervous system issues and hormonal changes, cough, cough, perimenopause. It's my best friend. Hygeia, people who are prone to fatty liver, a little bit of weight imbalance on them. Lightseed, older folks, folks that have a tendency toward blood sugar regulation issues. Aztec, the newest of the paradigm, is all prickly pear. That strengthens the liver and the kidneys. And I knew that I was going to come to the end. I was like, oh, there are a couple I always forget. Ambrosia, Chi, Lightseed, Inca. Inca is rated for help in cardiovascular issues, kidney strengthening, and hormonal imbalances. Last one, mycelia. Mycelia has 16 mushrooms in it. That's insanity. Fermented for 3 years. You know, people who love to take nootropic mushrooms, this is your jam. It's also powerful for anti-inflammation because that's what mushrooms do, right? We know this. And detoxifying the blood. So based on what your client has a tendency toward, that's where I think you should gear what your supplemental enzyme is.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's amazing. So my second quick question, I think I've never, and you might have answered this, I have never layered or done them any of the kits back to back, but I'm getting ready to.
Woo!
So, but I think you said that Daniel says have a day in between and then start the next one. So what is your suggestion? Would it be okay if I'm in a 30-day, let's say I'm doing Inspire for 30 days,
Hmm.
and I want to throw in a one in there? Could I, or
Yeah.
should I not?
You can. Such a great question. So, real quick before I answer the end question, you can layer the enzyme kits. You can take them together, i.e., within the same day, or you can take them back to back. This does not apply to the intestinal cleanse, and it's because you're just taking so dang much. You're taking so much every single half hour if you're doing it one day. So, on the day that you do the intestinal cleanse, just do that.
So if I'm doing the Inspire, stop the Inspire for 2 days then? So on the day I'm taking and then on my release day?
You can. Or I'm going to tell you, because you are a seasoned coach and you already know what you're doing, take them together. So that guideline is really about people who are going to become overwhelmed and it's just too much.
Yeah.
These are foods, they're not going to detract from each other. You're going to be fine. And the Inspire is so easy because it's only 3 elements. You're completely okay to intersperse that throughout your day and you'll feel it out. Let's say you did the intestinal cleanse with 2 days, right? You parsed it out, you took the first half and then the second half. You have a whole lot more room in your day.
Yeah.
So even that guideline doesn't apply, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you can totally take the enzyme cleanses together. The guideline is keep each enzyme an hour apart from each other if you're fasting. You could lower that to a half hour.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. And then my last question. Yeah. So I embarked on the kidney kit a while back. I was 2 weeks in and I thought I maybe ate something and had food poisoning because I didn't feel well, but I was still on because the kidney's 30 days. I started to, my stomach was very distended. I thought I had food poisoning. So I kept taking all the enzymes and it just kept getting worse and worse. So I texted the Telegram group and they basically said, stop immediately. Stop taking the enzymes immediately because they said that I was feeding the bacteria in my stomach. So I did, and I never finished. And so I got better and everything was fine. But I still have some Jing tablets. And I thought, well, if I have these, I'm just going to take them.
Yeah.
So I started taking them again. And this is months later. I started taking the Jing tablets and I started getting the same thing. It started really upsetting my stomach. So I guess I just want your take on that. Like, do I have certain bacteria in my stomach that's reacting with the Jang tablets? That, yeah.
Yes, but reacting is a word. And more than I would rather frame this in the idea of modulating bacteria. Does it mean that it's refined sugar that's actually feeding a bacteria that's leaving you in a health deficit? No. But there is an ebb and a flow to all things in the universe, most especially with enzymes. And because they're a solvent, they're continuing to break things down, and that is going to cause die-off, i.e., gas, distension. And so we kind of have to power through it. It doesn't mean that you're not a good match for the enzymes.
Okay.
You're right. You probably have something that you're modulating. I'm extremely surprised that they said that to you because is this new?
What do you mean? Is this new?
Did this happen recently?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe.
It
Yeah,
sounds like that was
it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like a little concerned. So and they were like STOP in cap letters. Stop immediately. Like I was just
I
like,
want
okay.
to know who said that to you. So there's a lot of new folks, right, that haven't taken the enzymes at length. Were I coaching you, I would say, sure, let's stop for a night. We still have to get through it. We still have to, even if we're taking Cellcore and somebody is having a difficult day, we're going to say, let's give it a couple of days, let's let your stomach calm down, and let's take a slower amount. That's
Yeah.
what we're always going to say with detoxification. Oh, I took 6 drops of zeolite and I felt like shit. Let's take 2.
Yeah.
Let's let the body calm down. Let's bring the body with us, right?
Mhm.
But is the answer, fall off your bicycle and never get back on? Nope. No, no,
That's
ma'am.
why I tried it again, and then I started getting that my stomach again, and I was like, I wonder if there's just some certain bacteria in my stomach that it's like trying to get rid of and butt heads. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. And especially if it's the Jing tablets, that's really interesting to me because the Jing tablets are primarily amino acids.
Wow.
So, I mean, even though they're fermented, it's amino acids and B vitamins. So, what is it that you're responding to? I actually would muscle test the Jing tablets. You actually may have, let's let's throw a lot of arbitrary factors in here. You may have a methylation issue and you may do better with methylated B vitamin. That's
I think
that.
I do have a methylation issue.
So
Yeah.
that's a
Mhm.
probable cause. And so it just means that your body is taking a little bit longer to break something down. And because you're a slower methylator, you also have a bacteria that your body is having difficulty working through. So let's just go ahead and lower it. Let's go ahead and take 2 of those 6 tablets. Well, I beg your pardon. No, I think there's the Jing is 3 tablets. So maybe take 1 at a time. Let's help shim the process so that your body's able to work with it.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you. This
What?
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jessica.
Take the stress off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Joey, go for it.
I agree with Sandra. You're a blessing to have.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have hopefully 4 quick things. One is, you don't have to do it now, but maybe later, share your liver hack. You said on the liver cleanse you did something, and I'm
Mhm,
curious to know what that formula was.
mhm.
Um, and then Carrie had mentioned like the liver flushes are just too harsh for the liver.
Love that you bring.
Unless it's an emergency. And I wanted to know your take on that.
Okay, so the instructions for how to, it's called extend your cleanse. That FAQ is located in, but I think I actually posted it in the Facebook IORH group as well. But it's in the Facebook Zen Cleanse group, and it's also in the Zen Cleanse group. It's pinned. So you can find those instructions, or if you want to DM me, I'll go ahead and send them to you in Facebook Messenger. It's just a PDF that we created. All that is there are 2 packets contained within the liver cleanse. One is the apple enzymes that make gallstones squishy because they're high in malic acid, right? We know malic acid starts making things squishy. And then the second is that it's a bile duct dilation. So we're able to actually widen that birth canal so that everything can go through. So if we take one of those bile duct dilation packets and we put it aside for the second day, then we're just dilating the bile duct for one more day so that we can take another juice, drink, olive oil, and that's all you're doing. It's truly as simple as that. You will need to keep fasting for that second day. So once again, this is where an additional bottle of enzymes in the house is going to be amazo. How I feel about liver flushing. Carrie's not wrong. It's not natural to take a ton of oil. We also, this is truly my opinion, and Carrie might squint at me for saying this, and that's okay. We're living a very different experience than we used to, and we're far more toxic than we've ever been. I have created a lot of experiments over the last few years in taking various different liver cleansing elements. And most recently, I took Deliverance and then I did a liver flush. And then I took Deliverance for 2 months and I'm about to do another liver flush. I had the best liver flush of my life. And I got out 2.5 inch in diameter stones, which has never been possible for me. And I believe it's because they do different things. My current take on this is based on their product description. Deliverance is a tissue remediator, right? It's helping make it elastic. It's helping make your liver elastic again. Therefore, can we not see how deliverance and liver flushing go together like peanut butter and chocolate? That makes so much sense to me. If deliverance is going to remediate the tissue and calm the tissue down, and then we incorporate interspersing liver flushing, then I think it's going to help both processes out, and we probably won't need as much liver flushing. The question about whether or not I think it's harsh on the liver, I think that there's merit to that statement, but I think that modern life is very harsh on the liver. I'm very fond of liver flushing. But what I'm more fond of is people taking methods to be able to ensure adequate bile flow on the regular and not just relying on liver flushing. That's what I think. Does that sound fair?
Beautiful. And I just want to say how fun you are. I love your choices of words. Now going into, I did 2 rainbow cleanses, one last year and one kind of recently. The first one, I did say rainbow, right?
Mhm.
The first one, when I got the mucoid plaque out, I was told that it showed that it was damp and a lot of fat in the liver.
Sure.
And so when I did the recent one, I was like, oh, it seems better. And they're like, no, you still have fat in the liver. And I've been doing deliverance for more than 4 months.
This is where I'm going with that.
Okay. And so, but oh, and actually this time I didn't do the rainbow, I just did the one. And so I'm like, if I've been doing deliverance, why is it still showing up as fatty? And so I think that kind of ties into what you had mentioned about the enzymes. Like maybe that's where I'm not getting enough to have that, I guess, um, less of the fat in the liver, if I'm making sense.
You are. I have a fantasy of coaching Siggy, the owner of Deliverance, through a liver flush. Because I want to kind of prove to him that liver flushing still has merit. I want to see what comes out. I am so in love with Deliverance. I think it is incredible. And I also think that sometimes we have to flush the potty to get everything out. So if that's true, bile flow, specifically adequate, clean, continuous bile flow is what's going to keep mucoid plaque from continuing to build up. Show me somebody who has completely clean, adequate, continuous bile flow. Not very many people. It's just the modern world that we live in. That's okay. Mucoid plaque is going to continue to build up no matter what. But your answer is going to be in nervous system regulation because the vagus nerve innervates the liver and tells it when to open and dump bile. Right? So it's going to be adrenals, nervous system, vagus nerve tone, and ensuring that the body has enough bitters and gastric juices in order to stimulate bile flow. Make sense?
Absolutely. And then one very last one. Do you recommend enemas with the rainbow?
I do. I know a lot of people don't. A warm water enema is plenty, but I think that waiting until the day after or when your body has gotten a chance to send enough down the pike without shooting water up is also very smart. People do not need to do an enema, but I find that on the second or third day, if they do a simple warm water enema, they're generally giving their body a little extra push, right, to flush the potty.
Is that better than a salt flush? Or salt, I think that's what it's called, salt flush, where you drink a whole thing of.
Salt flushes are hard on the adrenals, right? We are ingesting a huge amount of salt, and we can banter on whether or not we think that that's good regenerative health perspective. But when I coach clients that are having trouble actually getting the rest out, I'm completely okay with a salt flush.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Camille, you waited so long, my love. Please jump in there.
Hey, so yeah, that this is a great segue because the question that Joey just asked um, lead into the one that I had. So when I did the rainbow cleanse on the one, I was so uncomfortable that night and then the next day, and I didn't have any stimulation in my bowels to go, so I had to do an enema.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, I mean, like, is that okay when somebody's experienced that much discomfort to just have them do that? Or I've also heard like just wait until you have, until your body moves on its own. So I want to be able to coach people through that because my experience was really, really uncomfortable. And I had a distended belly, and I was just like, I can't go another day feeling like this.
Me too. I've had it happen. In fact, I had one rainbow cleanse where nothing came out at all. And I was in the middle of some of the greatest stress of, I thought, my career. And I think that it's because my nerve innervation was just shut down. And so I think that the vagus nerve tonality is probably the most mission critical. So the things that we can do in order to help stimulate ourselves into a parasympathetic state is critical. And I think that enemas are completely okay. I really prefer, so you know how there's that philosophy now that the whole like let them cry it out in their crib thing is actually completely unhelpful. I think it's the same thing for the human body. I think that in cleansing, when we have this more, I would say, sadist view of like, well, you're just gonna have to work it out or just wait for your body to do its thing. Why? Why? When we can utilize other things to help ourselves, like ileocecal valve release, enemas, EFT tapping, belief work. I'm super okay with throwing the kitchen sink at it in order to let the body feel so incredibly loved. Because if we can't then gently get ourselves into a parasympathetic state, the body is not going to feel safe enough to let go. Hands down, period. And I love that Carrie actually mentioned oxy powder. Am I misstating that again? There are two, no, see, I did it
No,
again.
that's right. Oxy powder,
What's the version that's the laundry soap? I always mess that up. So
OxyClean.
OxyClean. I've said OxyClean several times, and people are like, "No, Jessica, we're not drinking OxyClean. Oxy powder." So you could do that too, absolutely, to help do the flush and the salt flush, of course, that I feel two ways about.
Okay, that makes sense because at that time, like I had been in an accident about a month before I did the Zen,
Oh
before I
yeah.
did the rainbow cleanse. So I had been like major nervous system dysregulation and like fight or flight and stuff.
Yep.
So that makes sense. Okay. I do have one more brief question. It kind of came up when Teresa was asking about adding enzymes um, to the rainbow or, to the one. I have a client she's got MTHFR and just a whole bunch of other things. She's just so miserable. I've never had a client ever be miserable. So my heart is just really hurting for her right now. But she's just having such a hard time with anything. And she's got two autoimmune diagnoses too. So she's super parasitic and she knows it. She's like, I can't wait to get these parasites out of my body. But with that being said, like she's super sensitive. Um, her kidneys are not filtering. Everything is just coming out through her skin with hives, and she'll have like days where she's just sweating profusely. Um, and I really want her to get on the Zen cleanse just to start cleaning up the terrain internally to really, go after the parasites. But is there something else that would be supportive with someone with that, the MTHFR um, diagnosis that could just bring them some comfort? With the one, Carrie did recommend Hygieia for her because,
I was thinking the same thing.
okay, all right, hopefully she'll get it. I think she will, but
So the Hygieia is good. Its genius is that it helps break down latent fat throughout the system. So if somebody has parasites and low peristalsis, then they're going to have more fat that's building up in their gut. So that could be hugely helpful because it's going to help her gut actually start working better, specifically because it's dissolving all of those things out. So Carrie's really on the mark with that. I would have them consider doing that origin cleanse because they can still eat for the whole month, right? And the Inca is helping work on giving them energy, which we know is a difficult thing with MTHFR. And the Aztec is specifically helping strengthen the liver, which is the main culprit with MTHFR. When you have true MTHFR, not a HAVSI like I do, true MTHFR is making liver methylation really difficult. And I would consider the Qi because the Qi is helping create a huge adaptogenic effect for the body, which is helping calm the nervous system, which then in turn is helping the liver dump more. So the more that she can work on her liver dumping continuously, the better that MTHFR is going to be because it's reflective of whether or not her liver is actually able to cleanse her blood and her lymph system.
so the origin, is that the kidney
Yes, ma'am.
cleanse? Yeah, because we're having issues with her kidneys too. But we're about five months in, and she's already like, I don't know how much more money I can spend
Yeah.
on this. So, what would you say would be the highest priority then in that situation if she was to choose one between the one or the origin?
What a great question. I would choose the origin because the two blends in that, the liquid blends, have such a multiplicity of action. And aside from their individual properties, it's still an enzyme. So she's still getting a ton of solvents that's helping break down things throughout the system. And all of that accumulation is symptomatic of having had such slow methylation. So you're going to be able to help break things down in her system, help calm the system down because of that. And by the end of that month, which preferably she'd stay on a kidney-friendly diet for 30 days, right? Which would be mostly fruits and raw food and superfoods. So I would do that. My concern with folks on the one is just and not for everyone. I don't mean to make some sort of polarized statement. For people with nervous system dysfunction, which I had and you had, I think it can be a gamble. It's $250. We're really hoping over 2 or 3 days that we're going to be able to get this person into a nervous system state in order to produce the results. Wow. Like the cards are stacked for someone like that. I would rather take that money and have them on a month-long cleanse with the culture that surrounds it, right? Of like calming the nervous system. I think that's going to be a better bang for her buck.
Okay, can you do cell core parasite herbs with the origin?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. I felt like I had one more question, but oh yeah. So, um, I'm sure you're familiar with the Gutty cleanse from Rogers Hood. Have you heard of that?
No, what's it like? Is it traditional herbs?
Well, Jessica could speak to it because I know that she uses it a lot in her practice, like one that she's modified. But it's like psyllium husk and bentonite clay and activated charcoal and chia seeds.
Yep.
And it does pull out the mucoid plaque, but it's a lot less expensive. It's like, I haven't looked at how much the gutty one is, but you can make it because it's those simple ingredients. And
True.
so maybe I could do something like that for her to still clean out the mucoid plaque. I don't know. I'm just thinking budget wise.
Yeah, no, you're on the mark. I have been making gut cleanses for 15 years, and I sell them to my clients, and those are based on the original Dr. Christopher, Dr. Schultz, Dr. Jensen, and apparently the Gutty cleanse, right? They're the very similar elements. You can do that. It takes longer. Who cares? That's fine because it's pennies on the dollar in comparison. You really want to have them eating very little if they're going to do that cleanse and get the results that they want. And I really think the only drawback is that those herbs are very drying. So we want to be focusing on hydration because people who have a dehydrated and inflamed gut raises their hand, right? Then those drying herbs are also sucking more moisture out of the gut and they may not have as great a result. The genius of the Zen cleanse is that all of the enzymes, they are providing a sense of hydration to the body. And the psyllium husk in that cleanse is fermented. So it's donating water. So if you go the traditional route, which I'm very fond of, having a mostly hydrating diet, and not adding a lot of dehydrating foods, that's your win. Yeah. Some people
Awesome.
do
Thank
well
you.
with psyllium husk, it just creates more bulk for their intestinal inflammation. So I would even, for someone with true MTHFR, I would be doing like, no more than a teaspoon of psyllium husk per day, just to start getting their body used to creating bulk and lowering inflammation. And then I would be adjusting the level of bulking agent very slowly, and that's your win.
That sounds like too much work for me. I've been living in mold for like since September, and I'm like, no, my brain cannot handle that. But thanks for that. Maybe somebody else on the call could benefit. So
You're
thanks,
so more than
Jessica.
welcome. Absolutely. So pinging over to the chat. So Angie said, hot seat. Do you think that deliverance is a better option to utilize to support the liver versus the Zen cleanse liver cleanse? Just responded, I think deliverance first to soften the liver and then the Zen liver cleanse to be more effective. I completely agree. And I proved it. So when I did the deliverance, throughout February, I then did a liver cleanse, and I have all the photos to prove it. I got out 8 ounces of accumulation from my liver. That's huge. I then did deliverance for another month, and I just finished a second liver cleanse, and I got out 10 ounces total of accumulation from my liver, including those 2 enormous stones, the largest that I've ever gotten out in 50 liver flushes. So I really think that they're meant to go together. I really do. Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? You're welcome to ask me anything you want. Angie, oh wow, MTHFR has many facets. Thank you. Focus on methylating and detoxing, but cell receptors come into play. Yes, they do. Support and detox. Some nutrients need enzyme actions into cell receptors or to unblock cell receptors that are being blocked by other things. Yes, and liver and bioflow is at the very heart of every single bit of that. And I do not believe that most people are true MTHFR. I think that they have sluggish methylation, and I think that somebody said that to them. And I really think that it's important to remember that MTHFR is kind of bullshit because it's reflective of a congested liver. And it just means that that genetic mutation is active. Why is it active? Because of glyphosate, because of liver congestion. That's why. So it can be dormant. Here's Jess's real feelings. We have hundreds of mutations inside of our body, and nobody has told us that. MTHFR is the coined term that everybody uses, in my opinion, in order to explain toxicity in the body, that nobody's taken responsibility for yet. I don't want to get a genetic test because it's going to tell me a ton of other genetic mutations that I have, and then I'm going to hang my hat on that, and I'm not going to look at glyphosate. Just saying. Oh, she can't do biomedic. Interesting. Ah, so the genius of biomedic is, of course, fulvic minerals and bacillus coagulans. So maybe she can do something like um, black fulvic mineral drops to start binding, or black stuff. Oh yeah, see? Genius. See, Camille, you're so good at this. We're doing ion gut. There you go. Because it's still slow and steady wins the race, right? With all of this stuff. Okay, you guys have any further questions? Sandra, you've been awful quiet. So rare.
Hey
No?
Jessica, it's Tamina. I have a question.
Yeah.
I jumped in late and I've been trying to catch up. You mentioned one for the kidney. What's it called again?
Origin.
Origin. So for someone that's not filtering or filtering very little and they want to speed up their filtration, kidney filtration, would you recommend Origin over like the kidney cleanses that like Dr. Morris or Ramarabi? Do you think it would be more effective? It would be faster, or it all depends on the person?
I've never thought about that. That's a genius question. Daniel bills the Origin kidney more as a strengthener than a cleanse.
Okay.
And I think that the reason that he's saying that is that, well, a quick preemptive note. The longer cleanses don't produce the same visible notes as the digestive cleanses, right? People take something and they excrete a whole bunch of stuff. The kidney cleanse is not going to do that. People want to say, oh, what happened? Am I going to get out kidney stones? Well, good Lord, I hope not. That's going to be quite painful. So the way the enzymes work is they're a solvent. They're going to keep breaking things down over a whole month. So they're going to be working via an enzyme function and then strengthening the kidneys so that they don't create more accumulation. So do I think that they're helping you filter? I do. I think that herbs have a different approach. If I had a choice, I would do them together. I would space them out throughout the day. And if I had to choose one over the other, I might do the origin first and then do kidney herbs after that. But if I had to absolutely parse it out, I might actually do the kidney cleanse, the kidney strengthener through Zen Cleanse, and just add a drainer blend.
Okay, you just answered all the questions that were going to follow up.
Oh,
Thank you.
sweet.
Yeah, because I was curious if they would work together or if it was a good idea to work them or use them together.
Yeah, I would just make sure that,
Mm.
I would just give an hour break in between alcohol tinctures and
Yeah.
enzymes minimum.
Are they all alcohol tinctures? I haven't gotten the kidney. Oh,
Well,
I
I'm
think
talking about through Morse, through
yeah,
like if you want,
yeah, yeah.
some are
That's
glycerites,
okay.
some are
Yeah,
glycerites, but they have a slightly less robust action than those with alcohol.
right.
So, choose your own adventure on that.
Yeah, I never got them, and I know Dr. Morse has some that are capsules, some that are tinctures. So I didn't know that
Oh,
if the kidney was a tincture or not.
I
Yeah, that's
see.
where.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I have
Mm,
taken kidney herbal capsules. One of my favorite cleanse companies is called Heru, Heru.
mhm.
They follow Dr. Sebi's protocols. They're a really cool, affordable company. So I've had people do their kidney herbal cleanse, and I have added that to enzyme cleansing.
Okay, so um, you would go to that one instead of Dr. Morris if you were trying to avoid alcohol, right? Like they're just as effective.
Yes, but with that being said, I haven't tried Dr. Morse's herbal capsule blends.
Okay,
For the most part, a lot of herbal blends are going to be the same as another herbal company if they're worth their salt because
yeah,
kidney herbs are kidney herbs are kidney herbs. So whether or not you take them in a dry preparation, as in capsules or tinctures, is up to you. Tinctures are going to go immediately into the bloodstream, so they're always going to be slightly more effective because they're not relying on digestion capacity to be able to work.
Yeah, because I got the Fab Five, and once I got here, I realized, oh my God, this is alcohol. And I don't know why I forgot that for a second, when I was ordering it. And like for religious reasons, not supposed to have alcohol. So I reached out to the company and they said you can burn it off. And there's just something in my head that bothers me. Like, have I burned it off completely? There's some um, teachers that say, well, this is for medicinal purposes. Like, it's okay, and you're not getting intoxicated. But if I could just avoid it altogether, just so there isn't any questions in my mind, I would like to do that. Especially I could have clients that will be like nope, nothing
Yep.
with alcohol in it.
I agree with you completely. I have a lot of feelings about alcohol as a frequency,
Yeah.
but I'm well versed in what it's able to do, and I really respect that. I would go the herbal capsules route,
Yeah.
and if you look to companies like Heroes or any companies that follow specifically Dr. Sebi or those that are more um, Islam focused,
Mm-hmm.
then they are not going to incorporate alcohol, and I really respect your choices.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. I also want to say it's subjective on whether or not we actually know that alcohol burns off, or I beg your pardon, that hot water burns off alcohol. There has been recent research that said that that's not so true, but I just want to say, as we know, research can say one thing one day and one thing the next day, and I think that it's better to choose for the principles that you hold strong to.
Yeah. So I didn't think hot water was enough. So Marabi told me that I could pour it in a pot and just burn it off. But even then, it was like, am I burning it off long enough, or am I like killing the potency of the product? Like,
I would be concerned about that. And
yeah.
Ron is a genius. I trust him implicitly. I wanted to test that with a bunch of mirror tinctures, and so I left them in a small ball jar overnight.
Mhm.
Maybe it was 2 days because I forgot. I came back and it was a caramelized level at the bottom, and I was not able to rehydrate it at all. That is how much herbs that man packs in his tincture. So I personally would just go with herbal capsule routes. And if I really wanted to ensure that I was getting the most that I possibly could from it, I would do some digestive cleansing first,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jessica.
You're good. You are gonna align yourself with this process to know that you're choosing what's right for your body, which means that you're gonna get the equal amount out that your body deserves and needs
Yes.
because you're holding to your principles,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Angie, you ready to jump in there?
Yeah, this is more so just like not specific uh enzymes, but so like when I first started using Zen Cleanse, or it came into the picture for me, I on the site there's like these box cleanses where it's like a month long and there's all kinds of stuff in the box, right? So can you kind of explain what those are? Because I've had more than one person ask me, and I'm like, I don't really know when or how you would use those, but you know, it's basically like you could prescribe to this entire year long, you get this box for a couple $1,000s every month. And so like, but people are willing to do foundational 9-month protocols with Cellcore. So like what, how do you feel like those are meant to be used? Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely. Can you restate it in a different way so I can anchor into it?
Well, so like I feel like there's different boxes and they're meant to last about a month. And like so like the earth box would have like 2-1 cleanses
Oh,
and a liver for cleanses. Like it's a pre-packaged with multiple different
they're
both
not
kits
they're not
and
doing
enzymes.
them anymore, and that's why I couldn't track with what you were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that ultimately because when I went through the institute, we had herbs and we had food and we had nothing else. Like, and I remember having multiple conversations with Carrie about saying like, no, I think people need enzymes. And she's like, no, they do not. And obviously like things have come to fruition and things have moved fast there. And when Zen Cleanse came into the picture, I remember looking at those and thinking, oh my gosh, this is just one. And I think I got so overwhelmed with the different, like, here's some kits, and then here's these big box kits, and then here's like, and not knowing, like, so I sort of like put Zen Plez on the shelf. And I was
That's
like, okay,
why they
everybody's
were
using the right.
discontinued. That's why they were
Yeah.
discontinued, because I was trying really hard to write protocol flows for those. And while working there, I'm the one who wrote the FAQ system. It was too confusing for people to be able to understand. So get with me and I'll help write you some protocols for how people can utilize them if they still have them. But it's really as simple as we've been talking today. It's like, you just take them. That's, I think, the most annoying thing about the Zen cleanse paradigm is it's very Zen. You know how Zen master will say, well, you just need to sit with it. Well, the same is true because it's food. You're just going to take it. You're just going to schedule it in with your life and, figure out how it works for you.
Yeah, no, I definitely, because in the back of my mind for a long time, those have just been nagging at me because I feel like, I'm just really in this place right now where as a practitioner, so
I don't know where Angie lives, but I always crack up when she starts to stutter.
people, I think, are overwhelmed with the idea of detox and taking anything from people. Even when we're talking about like diet, well, they need to take out this and they need to take.
Yeah. No, it's too much. It's too much.
Enzymes are like these special secret superpower that you can, yeah. So like I have wanted anything away from me, but like add things in, but that are actually going to do some fundamental work. And so I love that we are having this call right now.
Yeah. And I'm,
So
I'm certainly happy to do it again. Like, I don't want you guys to feel like you're lost in the woods. There's no reason for it. So I'm more than happy to have another chat again soon and, banter about how to do all of the things. Sandra.
So I just want to I don't think this is necessarily just Zen cleanse conversation question, but bouncing off of what Thamina was saying and asking, because I'm not sure if you saw in the other thread that we're in together about my question regarding the tinctures that I'm taking. And the third round, I feel like I'm always like, I don't mind not taking it, which I shouldn't. I should be taking the whole round. And someone had chimed in saying that they add hot water or to leave. Yeah. And I just wanted to see, and maybe you answered, I don't know. Do you, and I don't know if you answered it and I'm just not remembering what you just said, or how does anybody else feel about leaving it out? I've never heard of leaving out and measuring out, because it's 3 dropperfuls in each little shot glass.
Mhm.
Is what that was recommended. But I'm still having to, and the thing is my original question wasn't answered, is if I can just put them all along with my pineal clear tincture in my apothecary. That's what I asked. Because I feel like I'm taking a cup of water for each one of the tinctures. And so by the time I'm drinking the first and the second, and then I'm also on my last round of Salad Defender. It's just a lot of water, for a short time,
You
even
don't
if
have to take it in that much water.
I do, because I don't like the taste.
Okay. So the amount to which alcohol is going to evaporate off. So somebody would have to spend a lot of money at a lab in order to create a whole lot of variables in order to give us really corroborable data. And we don't have that. So all of our conversations are just going to be very, very rhetorical, and that's okay. So if we take capsules, we're not going to be getting any alcohol. If we leave something out, we're going to consider that we have gotten a certain amount of evaporation off of it. If we try to burn it off, we can maybe assume that we're getting a little bit more because of like souffles, right? And different like alcohol type desserts that people cook, and they're like, well, I got all the alcohol burned off. It's confusing to me why you would use alcohol in the first place then. I don't really understand that paradigm. And then you have people that say pour hot water on it and you're going to evaporate more of the alcohol off. I think that all of these things are based on projections that we cannot prove.
Mm.
So for me, I measure it based on my taste buds. If I feel that I am ingesting, if I can taste, if I can perceive that I am ingesting less alcohol, then I think that I am ingesting less alcohol. But that's going to be very individual. What I would love is for somebody to create an experiment where they did it all ways and then they reported back on how their body felt. I love the idea of tinctures. I don't like feeling tipsy in the middle of my day. And if I take several, I do not like it. I don't like that energy. If I'm going to have a cocktail, I want to have a cocktail, right? Several times a year. I don't like ingesting alcohol daily because it messes with my vibration. It makes me feel weird.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I am challenged. I am challenged on the idea of tinctures. I do know that it gains the greatest constituent properties of the herbs.
Mhm.
I'd rather take it in enzyme form, where it's fully fermented and I'm not ingesting alcohol.
And and I don't know if anybody, and my question was, will it change the efficacy if I add it to the apothecary?
No,
Okay.
no, because so it's a great question. So we would presume if we're going to set this up as a scientific situation, we would say if I'm adding it to it, do they either cancel each other out,
Mhm.
or does one denature another? So when in the
Mhm.
case of enzymes, if we take it near a food, we know that enzymes' nature is to dissolve the food. It still doesn't make it bad. It just means that we're getting less of that solvent nature available to us because of the enzymes. If we add a tincture to the juice, it's not lowering the amount of herb that was in the tincture to begin with. And I'm working this out in real time, so let me know your feedback on whether or not you think
Mhm.
this is true. But if we add it to the apothecary, that is going to continue to be the same. The only thing that we might be able to say is because alcohol has an acidifying nature, there's a potential that it may lower the alkaline donating properties of the apothecary, but I think that that would be a very low subjective amount.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Did that feel real?
Totally. And that's why I think I wrote on there. If not, I thought it. I'm like, I think I know the answer to this, but I just wanted to know what, if anybody else had experienced this and what their solution was. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome. If there's no other questions, I want to say a couple of things about, so Zen Cleanse has a couple of new products coming out in June that are super important for you guys to know about. Like over the top important. I have never been so excited about a product coming out in my life. Zen Cleanse has created a fermented nattokinase blend. I know, Joey. I was jumping up and down last night when I put some things together that I actually had my left eye just twitched as I said that, like, and I texted several girlfriends and I was like, I think I'm the only person who's put all this together that's so excited. So a nattokinase blend, nattokinase is the most potent enzyme on the planet. It dissolves fibrin, PCOS, blood clots, arteriosclerosis, all of the things. Because the invigorating drink in, I know, Joey. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who's so nerd excited about this. The invigorating drink in the Flow Cleanse is the fermented pepper and ginger blend. That is a blood dilation dilator. It's going to feed my soul if I can see in real time you guys' responses when you put this together as I have. Nattokinase helps dissolve accumulation in the blood vessels, PCOS, fibroids, arteriosclerosis, blood clots. A fermented pepper ginger blend coming in a full-size wine bottle dilates blood vessels. If you take this and then you're continuously dilating the micro blood vessels of the body, it's going to be able to flush it out. That's incredible. And then if you add this in your culture to the LVQ plus hydrogen tablets that are coming out at about the same time, which don't tell me God doesn't exist. That's quite curious to me, because then people are producing their own NAD antioxidant function in their body. Wow. Those three things all come out at the same time. So keep your eye on that. And the Hygieia blend has actually shifted. They shifted the formulation to add lemon and ginger to it, which means it's going to be an even more potent liver elixir. I know. I literally was like jumping up and down at 9 p.m. last night and texting people. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah, I think Daniel is an absolute genius. And my understanding is because they got so much feedback about the amount of sugar in the blends, even though it was natural sugar, they are lowering the sugar in the blends, which is wonderful. And it's going to make it a whole lot easier for people with SIBO and SIFO to be able to take the enzymes without any sort of pause in their process. Isn't that awesome? Yeah.
Jessica, is the nattokinase in any specific one?
No, it's its own huge full-size wine bottle. They're calling
Oh
it
my gosh.
Blast.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I,
Wow.
I know. And so I think that when we're working with people with fibroids, like if this had existed, I wouldn't have had to have a partial hysterectomy 7 years ago. Wouldn't happen. This absolutely would have done that. So this is pretty groundbreaking. I think that Zen Cleanse is about to blow the doors off the industry because of this. Yeah, and so for your people who have circulation issues and energy issues, methylation issues, that fermented ginger pepper blend, the invigorated drink, I think they renamed it when it's going to be in this full-size wine bottle. That is going to be mission critical. That's going to be huge for them to be able to take, especially during inflammation months like summer and whatnot, when people's circulation even tends to be more challenging. For people that are healing from cardiovascular issues, absolutely huge. Super game changer. I don't think there's going to be anything like it on the market because everything else relies on a certain level of bypassing the digestive system in order to be able to work, and this doesn't. All nattokinase either has to be enteric coated or in some sneaky form like, IV or whatever in order to actually be able to absorb into the system. This is going to totally circumvent that. Yeah. And so people with cardiovascular and inflammation issues, that also is going to bypass the digestive system. So even where they might take cayenne pepper or warming herbs that might actually accidentally produce more inflammation, this is not going to do that. So this is a super game changer for us, helping people heal from fertility issues, cardiovascular issues, brain plaque issues, dementia issues. Yeah, those two blends together, I'm telling you, we all have to start trying them out immediately in June when they come out so that we're well versed in its capacity. And Teresa says, for those waiting, the one is back in stock now. Oh, that's cool. That's 5 days early. That's great. Well, I guess that's really fortuitous at the end of this call. We're like, now go rush and get your intestinal cleanse. Do you guys feel fed? You feel satisfied?
One last question, Jessica.
Throw it at me.
All this knowledge that you have about Zen Cleanse, have you done any videos or written up any protocols that you personally have done on the different products and how they work?
No. And there are a handful of people very frustrated with me for that. My husband is at the top of that list. Yeah, he's super over my BS, and that's coming, Amina. It's coming. Yeah, I turned 50 at the end of this month, and he's like, it's time, step out, grab the microphone. I'm over it. So yes, ma'am, it's coming. So the idea of just beginning to have these, I think this is the fourth enzyme chat that I've given in the last month. I think this is like the precursor to starting to take over. And I just think we should all be sharing and giving more training classes to each other.
Yeah, because I only done the rainbow, and when I go on Zenflon's website, I feel overwhelmed. And if someone's not telling me what it does and why I should be taking it, I just felt overwhelmed and never went back and looked at that. You were talking about the flow, and I've heard like several people do the flow um, kit, and I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna do. And there's just so much that we're looking into that there's no time to go research on more, you know?
I
Um,
do. I do. And you know, if nobody, I'm so
very,
sorry, please go ahead.
the information you were giving us, like you knew exactly what we needed to hear from our RH perspective and what we need to know, what we need to like absorb. So that was very helpful. And go Jessica on making those videos.
I think it's mission critical. I really think that all of us sharing our alchemical knowledge is vital. It really is. Like I could never be more impressed with the community as I have been with the IRH community. Everybody chips in, everybody teaches each other and helps dial each other out. Like I've never seen anything like it. So, you know, got a couple of months in and I was like, well, this here, I brought this pie to the picnic. This is my pie. Would you guys like a piece of pie? So, non-alcohol burned off enzyme pie. Do you guys like an enzyme pie? So, yeah, let me know if we need to do another one. Maitreya just gave me information. So there's 5 Thursdays in this month. So Maitreya asked Carrie if maybe she'd like for me to take the last one of the month and do an enzyme chat. So she wrote today that I'm probably going to do that. Do an enzyme chat at the end of May. A 7-layer enzyme cake woman. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, how much crap will we get out of our bodies if we ate a 7-layer enzyme cake? Wow. Wow. Angie, let me know how getting your littles to take the enzymes go. I really think that the win is with the quantum particles. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
I have a giant bag of fiber crystals, black vacuum, and quantum particles. And quantum particles is the only thing I've really figured out how to like utilize well with kids. And I don't know, I'm just really excited about all this enzyme stuff because as you kind of know a little bit more my intake on iridology and like how it can be used outside of regenerative health and just looking at different systems and knowing, oh, this is where you really are weak, like enzymes. Like,
Enzymes. And Angie, like I think I might be your biggest fangirl. So the idea that I get to help Angie Johnson out is like, ooh, big feather in my cap. So like, you know, I've learned so much from you. And I just got to tell you, girl, I cried pretty much most of March after getting my eye iridology photos done by myself because I was like finally felt so vindicated because it was all there. And you know, I stayed after for class when Angie talked, and I don't even know how many questions I asked her. Oh, how about this? Oh, yeah, how about this? How about this? So the idea that I get a chance to reciprocate, I'm super all about it. You know, thanks,
yeah,
guys.
I
Really.
love I'm on your fan page.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay, fangirl reciprocation. So, so let me know if you guys want to schedule another one of these. And I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everyone. This was wonderful. Have
You're
a
more than
beautiful
welcome.
day.
I'm gonna go take a bio break and get ready for my 1:45 call.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.